Good evening, my loves. Welcome to this week's live coaching gem on Destination Deanna. Hi, I am Deanna, the love guide, and I'll be guiding you through this week's lesson. I'm just feeling so amazingly refreshed. I'm sure I'm not the only one that took part in witnessing the wonderful solar eclipse. I don't know how much you believe in new moons and all of the rejuvenated energy that can come with them, but I am totally feeling like something new. So, yeah, this week's lesson is everything isn't a red flag. Let me go ahead and say what's up to everybody that's checking in the chat already. Hey, Shaka. So glad you can make it. I hope your show was good tonight. And my amazing husband, always there front and center. Thank you, honey, for keeping me covered. Yes, infinite energy. Absolutely. So there's all this talk about like red flags. And while I'm extremely happy that we're paying attention and we're not just accepting anything, we're taking the time to actually vet and do all of those things. I think with anything, we can get kind of carried away. And that's where I think we are now. I'm starting to see like everything being labeled as a red flag. And I think that's kind of dangerous. So let me tell you my intention with tonight's lesson. I just want to point out how the label red flag is being tossed around pretty loosely. And I want to make sure that the focus isn't on memorizing a list of red flags, right? It's about using discernment, guidance, hopefully mine, and vetting thoroughly and properly. So tonight, I'm actually going to talk about some common red flags, but also talk about how they don't have to always necessarily signal an end, right? It could be a beginning of a further discussion. So what I'm not doing, telling you to completely ignore red flags. I hate that I even have to point this out, but some people will take things to the extreme. That's why we're having this conversation tonight. But I'm not saying ignore red flags. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be this all or nothing approach. All right. So, and feel free, tonight's very interactive. I'm going to talk about common red flags, but I'll be checking the chat to see if you guys mention some that I didn't put in the common list. It is not all encompassing, so give me some grace with that. Hey, Bree, I see Bree is checking in. 12 years of healing. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and check that out. I am going to have to go back and check that out. Okay, finishing my prayer up. Go ahead. And everybody's just getting caught up. Yep. All or nothing. Baby in the bathwater. This comes up a lot. So there must be something in the air because us healers, us teachers, we're feeling the energetic pull to steer the conversation in a different direction and maybe give you all a more total look at the picture, right? Yes, the stars are lined up. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into the list of common red flags. A few of these came up. I put out a poll on my stories today and I kind of asked people to give me some common red flags. I posted it in the Love Attraction community. So some of these you're going to see are your answers. Others were just ones compiled from just my coaching clients and things that I'm viewing. So the number one thing, and this is the only thing that I'm going to say like number one and it means something, because everything else is kind of out of order. It doesn't matter. But this is the number one thing because it came up on every platform in every discussion: inconsistency. Inconsistency. And let me just say, that is a red flag, right? No one, male or female, this isn't like one-sided, male or female, no one really desires to have someone who's inconsistent. You can't trust that. You can't relax when there's inconsistency. But I am going to point out on the female side, I'm seeing far too many women mentioning inconsistency after they have not required initiation and consistency in the beginning. What do I mean by that? Am I going to step on some toes? Probably. If you meet a guy and you are taking the lead, you are the one who is initiating, I think it's sort of unfair to later on then call him inconsistent because now you want him to lead. We have to be clear about what it is we want, and we have to set things up in the beginning. So if consistency is a huge requirement for you, a standard for you, you have to make sure that you're not doing anything to counteract that or to be counterproductive to it. So if you want consistency, and I'm speaking specifically to the ladies on this one, if you want consistency from a man, hands off in the beginning, okay? Let him lead. Let him initiate. That way, you can see what he's consistent in. You can see what he would choose, and then you can take it from there. The party's here. Yes. That's a big one. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. So number 2, narcissism. This is like the other buzzword, right? It's like the thing that everyone is throwing around now. Oh, they were narcissists. They were a narcissist. Like, I don't want to attract any more narcissists. Narcissism is when a person thinks highly of oneself. They're needing admiration. They're believing others are inferior. They are lacking empathy for others, right? However, to be clinically diagnosed as narcissistic, there are 12 traits. And I did some research. As of 2023, a study at the University of Michigan states that the percentage of narcissists in the US ranges from only 0.5 to 6% of the entire US. That is slim to none that is what you encountered. So I know it's love and we deal in feelings and all of that, and we get a piece of information and we want to cling to it. But let's be real here. The chance that you were actually dealing with someone who is clinically a narcissist is slim to none. So knock it off. Like, knock it off. Stop using this as a buzzword. Stop using it as an excuse. Like, knock it off. Oh, you guys are talking about inconsistency. Okay, I'll pull back that up. Yes, they're minuscule until you encounter one. Listen, don't go against it. No, but seriously, it's not to say that you can't encounter someone that has like narcissistic traits. But let's be real. There's a difference between someone who is like extremely confident and like just overly into themselves and like lacking awareness of others. That's just a character flaw. Okay, so let's classify these things the right way. The things they like in a man sometimes is what they hate about men. Most leaders have the traits that women call narcissists. You know what? That is a whole nother live that we could do about how we're attracted to the things that we will detest. Like later, there'll be an issue. But really, we're usually, well, once you're healed, you're like attracted to the things that you need. And when they start to annoy you, it's just because you need to grow in an area. And maybe you don't want to grow in that area yet. So yes, let's put a pin in that. So number 3, and I gotta handle this with kid gloves. I know a lot of my ladies that follow me are divorced, have children from a previous marriage, or are single moms. So let's just all take a deep breath and know this is just a discussion. So there's my trigger warning, right? Number 3 is too many kids. Too many kids. This actually came up in my stories. It has come up in conversations with men when they're describing like what they want, and it's also come up from women who actually have kids and think that it's a red flag for them. It gets in the way of potential men being interested. So I just want to talk about this a little bit. Yes, it can be a red flag for someone who doesn't have children, or maybe someone who has children that are grown and they have no like desire to go back to like raising children like that. So, yes, this could exist and could be a red flag, but it is no reason for someone to completely just shut off and think that if they have kids or if they meet someone who has kids, it's an automatic red flag and a no. It actually really should come down to not the number of kids, but it should come down to how well mannered are those children? How is the co parenting situation? How does the individual prioritize themselves and a future partner? How does that fit into their lives? Are they someone who just thinks their children come first? They'll never prioritize a relationship. That is really the red flag that should caution you to walk away. But it shouldn't just be a red flag, period, and you not want to entertain it unless you fall into that bucket where you just know you don't want that. But I'm saying consider it as an opportunity to discuss it further, see where it could go. It doesn't have to be a definitive red flag. So Bree says, how many is too many? Because I have one, and men act like you're damaged sometimes. And that's a good question, Bree, because this is so subjective, right? I know plenty of stories where women have multiples and they are married again. They're on their second marriage. So clearly the man that came into their life did not care. Like that was not a deal breaker for them. So I think the number varies based on what a person can handle, based on what a person experiences, and based on how that mother or father who has the children, how they have prepared the children, how they have prepared their lives, and how open they are to merging. That's what I think is important. I'm desirable and my son is lovely. Yes, he is. So I think that actually matters more than the number of children. Like, are you a woman that desires to have a husband and he be a leader? And if he comes in and he bonds with your child, can he be a step parent? Can he be active? Can he discipline? All of these things. Thanks, Shock. I'm trying. I see it's needed. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely not a red flag. Unless there are other things accompanying it. Yes, we live structured lives around here. Yes, our kids are not running our lives. Right. We ain't raising no knuckleheads. Yes. And okay, here we go. Just backing me up. The mother is key to that merger. So from what I see men talk about, what's really important to them is how the mother manages, how she manages that. Does she have an attitude of that's my child, don't talk to my child? That's not a very inviting environment for a man to come into. So yeah, if you have that attitude and have children, then it's a red flag. So you see how it's not necessarily the children, but it's more about the mother's attitude, her willingness to accept the help and allow the man to lead, her willingness to invest in herself and relationships and prioritize that. Yes. Yep. I don't have to co-parent, so I'm low. Hey, listen. Yep. Sometimes God just gives us another little blessing. All right, number 4. And this is kind of like attached to the last one, but the ex is a problem. Now, this can be if you have children. This, yes, son. Okay.
Good night, Mommy.
Okay, good night. I love you, son. Close the door and put your pad on the charger, okay? Thank you, buddy. So the ex being a problem, it could be if you have children, or it could just be you were in a relationship that ended poorly. It could just be whatever. But the ex being a problem, it doesn't have to be a red flag if you know how to handle this. Again, like there's a small percentage of exes that I'm sure they just are crazy no matter what you've done, everything. But the majority of the time, there is something that you can do differently about managing the situation. So even if the person is disrespectful, if they're trying to like be in your business, try to still be around, you still have the opportunity to set boundaries, draw the line and let your no mean no. And more often than not, when there is like this crazy ex or the ex is a problem, you can almost always identify where the other person has not drawn a boundary or they haven't upheld it, right? Eventually, people get the point. Now, again, there are those like point one, whatever of the crazies that no matter what, they are crazy. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, and I'm not negating anybody's experience if they had that. However, here on this channel, we are all about self-awareness, self-accountability, right? So we focus more on the things that we can control. So if you are having issues with an ex, I would encourage you to look within first. Look at how you're communicating. Look at how you're initiating. Look at the boundaries you're setting. Look at whether or not you're upholding them. Because that is where it is a red flag that would warrant someone not wanting to deal with that if you're not doing your part. Let me see what's going on in the comments. Ooh, okay, hold on. Okay, y'all got super conversations going on. I'm gonna try to keep up with what's with the conversation. So Shaka said the ex is more of an issue than the amount of kids to me. And I think that makes a lot of sense because like children are still under like, I don't want to say our control, but under our management. Another adult who you have no relationship with, you're pretty much at the mercy of how that relationship is being managed. So again, this is why it goes back to like your part in it all. Let's take the focus off of the crazy, right? And just focus more on your part, your communication, what you can do to sever ties and make sure that it's healthy. One bad ex is worse than 3 kids. I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Yeah, I agree. My husband says, I agree. That can turn the apple cart upside down. My boy ain't have to worry about that. Yeah, we gotta pray. We gotta pray for the sisters in the struggle. Well, hopefully they're tuning in and they're getting these gems and they're making improvements. Yes, absolutely. All right. And number 5. Number 5. I haven't had this happen, but I've seen more conversations about it recently. Number 5 is like differing political views. And this can also encompass like religious views, like anything that is like a major part of your life or governing. So political views, like views on major issues like gender and, you know, all of the letters, the gambit of that. So things like that could certainly be a red flag if you're not aligned in kind of belief systems. However, there's always room to learn something, and there's always room for there to be differences as long as it's not disrespectful. Right? So if you have particular views, you have a certain religion you follow, it's literally fine to have that for yourself as long as what you're doing isn't infringing upon someone else or putting someone else down or making them uncomfortable about their beliefs. If you can kind of separate the two, it doesn't have to be a red flag that is ending. Oops, sorry guys. Yo, that's so funny. I cannot deal. I'm so glad Will and Deanna, we have Will and Deanna. When this situation arises for me, I'm gonna need help managing. Yeah, we need to get back to like having a village, right? Having those couples that have come before you that can kind of help like guide you into it. Yeah, so you're in a good place, Bree. Yo, I can't. This is new, but yeah, I had to get rid of a flat earther. Well, the fact that you were open to it says that you're not just walking around disqualifying people based on like a thought or perceived red flag, but it is more like, yo, if we can't get in alignment on particular things that are really important, yeah, this isn't going to work. You don't believe in science, I can't believe in you. And it's important to know that, right? Because how often is that going to come up? Pretty often. Yo, I can't. You ain't leave West more you think they're flags. Right. A person well-traveled is like, come on, we can't even do this. Never even thought of that. Yeah, I haven't personally had it come up, but think about it this way too, Bree. Like, we may think it's not a big deal, but one of our requirements is, you know, he believes in God, and specifically of the Christian faith. So really, that is something that could be considered a red flag for us if we met someone of a different faith. Can it work? Absolutely. There's plenty of couples that are interfaith. It can work. But like I'm about to get into, it literally does require like clarity, conversation, all of that stuff. Oh, hey, Dawn. I'm so glad you're here. As soon as a man tries to, oh, goodness. Yeah. We're going to have to work that out. And I am in the process of coming up with some more content for my single moms who are dating. So that you all have some resources and things to look over. So it's coming, Bree. And you're in the membership, so you're going to get the detailed versions. But I'm working on it. Hey, Dawn. And the final one on the list, it isn't the final red flag, but it's the final one on the list. And when we get to Q&A, I'm certainly open to if you all have other red flags you want to discuss and just talk about. So number 6 is like right along the lines. It's like you have a unique hobby or practice or belief or something that you just do. And it's a big part of your being. And this doesn't jive with a person. I don't think we should just automatically discount or discredit someone who's not exactly the same, right? I think it's an opportunity for you to share. It's an opportunity for you to learn. So again, different is okay as long as it's not disrespectful. All right. So those were a few of the common like red flags that are coming up. Right? But now here's the point where you can really take notes, because this is what you can use as like your checks and balances for red flags. So things that you are deeming red flags or they're concerning to you, here is what you can use for kind of a checks and balances, whether it should signal the end or whether it's the beginning of more conversation. So that's how you should think about it. Number one, know what you want. Know what you want. That means know what you want to experience, know what you want in a person, so that things can be pretty clear and you're able to communicate that. If you're not clear about what you want, that leaves so much open for you to misinterpret, for you to just deem a red flag and move forward. Know what you want, be clear about that. Number two, ask follow-up questions. Don't assume. Don't assume. You don't know. Things could be situational. Something could have happened. It could be a one-off. The person could have communicated it poorly. The person might have a trigger or a trauma. Like, you don't know why. So ask follow-up questions for clarity. Okay? Number three, communicate your offense or dislike. Don't just, oh, it's a red flag, I'm moving on. Be able to communicate to the person what either offended you or something that you dislike and you don't want it to carry on or be repeated, because this at least gives them the opportunity to explain or for them to make a choice as well that that's who they are and they don't want to budge on that either. So it could just be a mismatch, but at least communicate so that you know that. So when you're walking away, you're like clear, right? There's no unanswered things. There's no potentially missed opportunities because you didn't just communicate something. And I'm sorry, I'm ignoring the comments. Yes, ask follow up for clarity. Absolutely. And number four, and this is the final one, consider that different isn't always wrong. So just because someone communicates differently, someone has different views, someone has a different approach, different communication style from yours, that does not mean it's classified as wrong. Now, it could not be your preference. It could be something that you don't see yourself aligning with, and that is fine. However, if we're talking about transformational love, it's probably going to come in a package you're not expecting. There's going to be bonuses that you're not thinking of. There's going to be quirks you're not thinking of. So try to be open to the fact that different could be a blessing. Different could teach you something. Different could be exactly what you need in order to develop more, in order to experience love in a different way. This different could be the difference in how you experience love. So different isn't always wrong, but we want to make sure that different doesn't mean it's disrespectful. Okay? You can be different without being disrespectful. Okay, so let me just quickly recap that. So for your checks and balances for the red flags, right? You want to know what you want. You want to ask follow-up questions. Don't just assume. You want to get clarity. You want to communicate your offense or dislike. Give them the opportunity to provide further clarity for you or learn something. Number four, consider that different isn't always wrong. So different could lead to different things that you like, different opportunities, different lessons to learn. As long as it's not disrespectful, different is not wrong. So, all right, that was the lesson. We are now at everyone's favorite part of the week. It is the Q&A. So I'm going to try to go through the comments because I see you guys were having a lovely conversation in those comments. But feel free to type in any questions, or if you have comments about any particular red flags that you run into often and you want to know how to apply the checks and balances so you don't, discredit someone that may be a potential person. So let's take a look. I'm sorry. It's like raining and storming in Dallas right now. So I think it's messing with my connection slightly. So thank you, Shaka. So Shaka is saying number 4, which is, consider that different isn't always wrong. It could be the difference in how you experience love. Dope mindset. Okay. So Bree is saying, y'all, I have a trigger. I often ask questions because I don't understand something. And when specifically men say, like I said, and answer, please don't say it again the same way. Well, one thing I would just put out there for you, Bree, if someone is saying, like I said, it's quite possible that they don't have another way to say it, right? And they thought that they were very clear in the way that they said it. So it could be that they thought you didn't hear them. It could be a number of things. But I would recommend that I don't personally know why this is a trigger to you. Maybe it comes off as a bit stern and a bit like authoritative. And if that's the case, I can understand that when you're just asking for clarity. So as long as you are being respectful, using your soft feminine wiles, I would say maybe try to just phrase it and say, oh, I heard you, but I want to make sure I'm clear. I want to make sure that if there's something I need to adjust or, something that I need to be mindful of, that I'm clear on it. And I kind of got lost in translation there. Play dumb. I always feel like I'm annoying them and it kind of makes me shut down. So that's a you thing. That's not a them thing. That is how you are interpreting it, right? So maybe you can give yourself some grace and say, unless a person is telling me I'm annoying them, I'm not going to assume that. I'm not an annoying person and I'm asking a question for clarity. So that's something that you can manage on your own. How can I express that I don't understand what they're saying the way they're saying it? I think I just gave an example of that, but just, hey, I really want to be clear on what you're saying so that I can show up the best way possible. You're extremely eloquent and, maybe it's just a me thing, but that kind of flew over my head. Can you try to phrase it differently? That's a way. Thank you, honey. Those checks and balances are so valuable. They are. That way we're not just unnecessarily classifying people or throwing them out. Ooh, I did think about it. I did think about it, but I didn't want to have any biases. So you see, even when I talked about the kids, I didn't really say too much. I focused really on what I hear a lot. So the age preference, excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. So yeah, and I mean, I hear lots of talks about extreme cases of like age differences. So I think that's a whole different conversation. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Oh, hold on. Okay. So what advice do you have for someone whose friends and family tell them they see red flags in their potential mate, but the person doesn't see it? I think consider who the friends and family are, right? Are they normally good judges of character? Do you normally take advice from them? Do you normally trust what they say? If so, I would say make a mental note of it. However, do your due diligence to make sure that you're able to see things because it's your experience, right? And just because their radar went off for something, that could be for them. You're a different person. You might want a different experience. So I think consider who is giving, the advice or making mention of it. If you trust them, if there's someone that you would normally listen to, okay, take a mental note of it and see if it shows up. Good question. Good question. I know what Bree is saying. We've had those engagements. As long as you don't come off as aggressive or snide, most will give you grace. Yeah, and I think that's in general with men. I think how I would recommend for a woman to approach any like conversation with a man where they want clarity, always position it like, I want to learn. Right? Men love to be teaching you something. They love to be putting you on with game. They love that. So if you can phrase it in a way that is like, I want to learn from you. That wasn't something I was thinking of, and I need a little bit more clarity on it. Can you give me an example of that? Men love that. They eat it up. They eat it up. So be soft. Be feminine. Don't come off as aggressive. Don't show offense if you did take it offensively. Try to position yourself soft, inquisitive, seeking clarity, and wanting to be taught. And I think that will help. Yeah, what Will's question was good. Did I answer that well enough? Everybody got what they needed from that? Age preference. Yes, that has been the discussion. I've seen a lot of talks about women saying that, men are preferring younger women. And let me just say, I've said this a few times before, and maybe I need to say it a little louder and on different platforms, but unless a man is like a predator, I don't think men are sitting around saying, I'm going to get me a 21-year-old. I'm going to go get me a youngin'. I don't think that. I think men desire the energy of youth. And women oftentimes are very mature. We mature faster, and we can lose our youthfulness sometimes. Our playfulness, that is a part of our femininity. Women who are feminine, they look younger. They have a more playful demeanor. They have a fun, energetic energy about them. And that is what I believe men are preferring and men are going for. Men who are natural leaders, providers, they want women that are going to get with their program. So most of the time, if a woman has experienced a lot on her own, built up her own stuff, there's little room for a man. So men are just thinking in general what they like. They like to be useful. They like to be helpful. They like to provide. They like to teach. So they are looking for women that fit into that. Who's a woman that's going to come along and she's going to be excited about learning from me? She's going to have a great attitude when I'm putting her up on game. She is going to follow. And then the added benefit of youth is that they gain youthful years, right? A man gets with a younger woman. What is she going to do? She's going to be eating healthier. She's probably exercising more. And genuinely loving someone, you want them to be around as long as possible. So what is that younger woman going to do? She's going to get him into health, fitness, making sure he can be around. So that's my thoughts on that. That is my thoughts on that. And I think it's on the opposite side. Same thing for women. Like women are desiring older men when they do have this preference because of what comes with that. They want the wisdom. They want the stability. Older men are usually more stable. They're established in their career. They've built a certain amount of wealth. They have had experiences with women, so they're less likely to be gallivanting around. They've done a lot of that already. So a lot of women are kind of looking at the benefits of that. That's a whole nother lie. When were you a rapper? I mean, I'll always be one. But when was I pursuing rap as a career? I mean, a number of years ago, like in my early 20s. I'm 41. So it's been a minute since I've released some music, but my pen's always working. Okay. The reason why I have catchy content and I have, things named a cool way and there's rhyme schemes and different all of that is because it stems from my rapping skills. Yeah. So thank you, Kiki. Yeah. Okay. So you agreeing with me, Shock? Okay. Men that come from money prefer women in their age range. They don't have nothing to prove and less ego. I mean, that can be true. Absolutely, that can be true. When you say men that come from money, I'm assuming like men that inherited it. And I don't know how true that would be. More of the men that I know that are of means, their wife is at least 6 years younger than them. But that's my circumference and what I see. So what you're seeing could be that. Activity matters to me. Yeah, I think it matters to a lot of men. They like women that are in shape. They like women that are healthy and want to be active and are youthful, fun, energetic, easygoing. I'm gonna try because just stop talking because I really am always trying to learn. Yeah, I think some of it is not you, some of it is just them. They might have taken offense to being questioned. So I wouldn't like get too down on yourself about it. Just kind of go through your checks and balances, right? Were you showing up feminine? Did you phrase it in a way that you're trying to learn? Was it soft? Was it like, if you go down those checklists, you're okay. Give yourself some grace. Women want a leader and stability. Just as I said. We eclipse a line tonight. Yes, we did. So now I got to go back and watch yours and put my comments in. Child, these new men. One told me he's trying to improve his physical health to pull something 10 years younger. I mean, I'm not mad at that though. I lost 40 pounds to pull me something richer. So I ain't mad at that. I mean, at least he's saying he's willing to work on himself to get what he want. I ain't mad at that. Wait a minute. Not the 40 with no wallet. Yeah, because you can't just be in shape. That's not gonna work. That's not getting no woman 10 years younger than you unless she just don't know her value. Okay, so I'm one who has experienced a lot on my own. Yep, home ownership, investing and traveling. Yep, life still has to be lived. Can you elaborate on what you mean there's not much room? Thank you so much, Dawn, for saying this because I know a good amount of women that follow me as well. They fall into this bucket, right? They've had a good career. They've been able to be successful. They've traveled. Guess what? That was me too. The only thing I hadn't done was home ownership. But when I met my husband, I let him know that that was something I wanted to do on my own. And I still did it before we got married. So listen, I know about this. So what I mean by there's not much room. If you are a woman like you and I, Dawn, and you have done a lot, you've experienced a lot, you have to be more intentional about allowing a man, about making room for him. So if you own your own home, you have to make sure that you can communicate that you are excited about your husband providing a home. right? You have to make it known that just because you were able to do these things on your own, it does not mean you prefer it that way. It does not mean that you are not a woman that can't soften, relax, and allow a man to take care of you, lead you, teach you. You have to be a little bit more upfront in communicating that. And I also believe you have to be a little bit more mindful about leading with accomplishments and things that you've done. If they're just things that you were doing because you were living your life, cool, but don't set them up as selling points because they're not to men. Men want to provide those things for you. So you having them on your own doesn't light them up. There are some men here. Y'all men, feel free to give your firsthand male experience or thoughts on what I'm saying if it doesn't generally line up. Yeah. So that would be my thought on that. It's not impossible, but I think you need to be more intentional about communicating how you are still a woman who's open for a man to come in and be that partner in your life, and how you can, be submissive. You can allow them to lead. You can allow them to provide all of that. So I just think you need to be more intentional about communicating it and make sure that you actually mean that and can actually let a man come in and do those things. So nothing to prove. What does that even mean? I'm not sure. Where did I say that? What was it attached to? I'm off on my tangent. So if I don't see your comment with what I'm saying, I might need more clarity. So I'm sorry. I gotta go into your rap vault. I've posted my music a couple times in the community. So you can search Shelby Raw and it'll come up. You can also go on SoundCloud. My debut mixtape, which was really like an album for real, is on there. So you can go on there and get a taste of my music. Hey, Kala. See, I don't want no damn old fogey. Yeah. Especially men that take care of themselves, right? Men that take care of themselves, men who know that they are of value. I'm not going to say high value, like that's up to you. Men who are genuine providers, they're masculine men, they lead, they're healthy, they're not toxic, they've done their healing. Men like that, they don't want women that do not have a youthful energy. Honey, I'm home. They want a woman that exudes that. Like, my home is where she is. That is what they want. Oh yeah, once I like them enough, I'm meal prepping. Let's get it. Yeah, we meal prepping, cooking, wearing aprons, all that over here. And what's the problem exactly, D? It's only a problem when men have a preference. I don't think there's no problem with preferences. I think when your preferences have to demean somebody else, you're still allowed to have them, but I don't have no problem with preferences. I think, it helps narrow things down, right? You're not a man's preference. Good. That's one less man to look at. That woman's not your preference. That's one less woman you got to take out. I think it helps. Oh man, y'all going off. Okay. The men that matter only want you to be fun. Yep. Because I will wake you up at 3 a.m. to taste these ribs. I've been smoking all day. Yum. Now we're up at 3 a.m. eating ribs. I've been ready to sell. Well, that might help. I don't know. You might meet a man who help you do it. Please use the reaction button. See, listen to Shaka, because I don't know. I don't know nothing about all that stuff. I'd just be over here trying to move the convo along. Yep. And he's saying it. We don't care. They don't care about the accolades, and they don't care about none of the things that they would want to give us. And I think that's a better way for women to understand this, right? They hear things like, "Oh, they don't care about our degrees. Yeah, after we did all this work." You're not hearing the real intent there. Men are saying they don't care about those things because they don't necessarily add value in the relationship. They add value to you as an individual. They add value and add to you feeling successful and accomplished, and that's amazing. Yes, that probably helps your self-esteem and all of those things. And that's awesome. No one is discounting that. However, the men are saying we value more what matters in how you show up as our woman. That is what they value. So that is why there's the push for the femininity. There's the push for the women that are fun, that take care of themselves, that want to cater to men. That is what they're saying there. Yeah, never lead with those things. Nope. Your degree or accolades and accomplishments aren't part of my checklist. They're not. Absolutely. Yep, my husband's agreeing. They beat us over the head about not caring about what we've accomplished. We know. And I didn't even read that, but I feel like what I just said clarifies it. I think that is a typical Mars Venus conversation that's happening. Women are taking offense. Like, what do you mean? Like, do you know what it took for me to do this? Yes, I'm proud of this. I'm proud of this accomplishment. And there's nothing wrong with that, ladies. Absolutely. It is an accomplishment and you should be proud. However, wanting to have men value something that they're saying doesn't really help what matters most to them, that's a losing battle. They're not saying it's not a valuable thing. They're not saying you shouldn't be proud of it. They're just saying if you're talking about how we decide, lost my air, how we decide you're going to be our wife, we're not considering that. Most of the time. Now, there may be some men that do. And if you want that, there are men out there like that. This has said something about what's he trying to prove by dating younger. Again, unless a man is like a pedophile or a predator, I don't think, no, there are some, let me take that back. There are some men that might be going through a midlife crisis and they're just feeling super old or like, feeling like they didn't live their lives and they chase younger women like that. Of course. Yeah, there's some of that. There's also some women that didn't have a healthy relationship with their father and they're looking for a replacement. So there's the unhealthy on both sides of it, right? I can see both sides of it. However, I don't think we need to, again, classify it as a red flag and just discredit it, right? It's important to me that a man values my skills, education, and goals. I want him to like me, but I don't want to disappear and being his wife. Is there like a hybrid option? I think that's where you all are going. It's important to me that he values my skills, education, and goals. Why? Why is that important that he values those things? Really, it makes sense that you're saying you don't want to disappear and just be the role of his wife. That's fine. But that is more like, I want to make sure I have a life outside of that. I want him to respect that I still want to have hobbies. I still may want to have a career or a business or that. That's one thing. But valuing your skills, education, and goals, that's attributing like he uses that as how he judges and selects. And that's probably not the case. But you can say, I desire for him to respect it, embrace it, and support it. That's one thing. But valuing it the way you do, I would encourage to consider not having that as your stance. I think it's great if you say, I want it to be appreciated. It's cool. Like, understand that it's a part of me and I'm proud of it. That's one thing, but he may not value it the way you do. And not because he doesn't value education or your skills. I'm sure he's going to value the skills that come with you when they show up in how you are with him. Because I want to be baking cookies and fixing lunch, but I also want to run my passion-led business. Yeah, so you need a man that is balanced, and more than likely, you probably need an older man who's already established in his career and is happy to support you in yours. But that's just a little bit of extra advice. But there's plenty of guys that would be fine with that, as long as you can still balance your womanhood. I think the issue comes in when a woman has a business or she's in school or things like that, and she slacks in her womaning. That is what makes a man be like, I don't care about none of that. That is what makes a man not support it, when it's like he has to give up something that he would be receiving in order for you to do that. So I think it's important for women to understand you got to achieve balance, right? I'm a coach. I run a coaching business. It's in the first 2 years of being full-time for me. So it's all encompassing. But let me tell you, when I go out with my husband, I make sure that I don't look better for y'all on my lives than I do when I go out with him. I make sure of it. I make sure that when I'm around the house, I have on a beautiful dress. I put the same energy and effort into just being around him. I make sure that the things I'm teaching, I actually live, and I operate through those lenses and respect him. And all the things that I tell you all to do, I'm showing up like that. And when it's hard for me to do that, you will see me pull back and take more time for my family. Thus, how I have Sabbath, thus how I take sabbaticals, thus how I make sure that my husband is priority. Now, I love my business. I love the women I get to pour into, and it is a passion for me. It is extremely important, but I make sure that my husband is never in competition with it. So that's why he'll show up every Monday on this live. That is why he'll partner with me in the membership and be a mentor. That is why he'll continue to invest in my business, our business, because we run it together. He's my partner in it. So that's what I would say. Make sure that you can balance that. If you can balance that, almost any man would be like, yeah, I mean, the more you can do and remain beautiful and handle home, cool. So I have a whole dating segment, and I go through dating profiles, and women are leading with degrees, homeowner. They need a coach. And that's the thing. Like, people want to be on these dating apps, but they won't invest in a coach to make sure that they present themselves correctly, they can vet properly, and actually date in a way that's intentional for marriage. But they'll be on a dating app. Make it make sense. Yeah, if you lead with that, you will probably value that more in the relationship. That's a good point. I never even thought about it that way. But that makes a lot of sense. They have to say it another way then. Don't say it the same exact way like Bree said. I mean, it behooves anybody, like man or woman, to speak in the way that you want your audience. Like you need to think about your audience, right? And how they would best receive your message. That would be the smartest thing. It would be smarter for men to do that. However, I think they think it doesn't need explanation. I think they think we should know that because they're clear about what they value. So to them, they're like, why are we even having to tell you this? We're not saying we value these things. Why do you all keep leading with them? So this is where you kind of got to like see it from both ends. They think, why is this a discussion? Why am I even having to say this when we've said over and over what we value and what we look for when we're looking for a wife? It almost feels like, we're just resisting and trying to change their mind about it. It doesn't seem like we're just trying to get clarity like what Bree was talking about. Another adjustment for someone else. How about some adjustment starts internally as well? And I mean, in this particular instance, I kind of I agree. I agree with the men on this. I agree with the men on this because honestly, if we're just getting down to a lot of these things that women are doing, like I'm not saying that women go to college like for men or get degrees or anything like that, but getting your own home, doing all of these things like on your own, you do them because life goes on and you're not partnered. If you were partnered, you wouldn't be doing that on your own. So a lot of it is just how life has went and how we kind of survive based on our circumstances. So, I mean, that's something to consider. Like, I think all of us would benefit more from looking at ourselves. So, yes, men could look at it and say, "Hey, the women aren't getting it and we're offending them." Maybe we could say it differently. And there are some men who do. There are a lot of men who talk about it and they try to be very nice. They're like, I'm thinking of a lot of relationship coaches that are men. They talk about this a lot and it's not changing. So, I don't know. The man for you won't want any of that to disappear. It's part of what made you you. That's a good point. It's like it's not that men don't enjoy the fruits of these accomplishments, right? They do, especially when it makes you a well-rounded woman, well-traveled. Like, if you're a homeowner, you know a little bit about finances. You know a little bit about putting some money together. You know a little bit about taxes and different laws and different things. So that is attractive, right? If he's partnering with you, that's one less thing he has to teach, and you may come with knowledge that's beneficial. So again, it's not like these things are like they take you out of the running or they're negative. It's just don't sell yourself with those things. Don't sell yourself with those things. Thanks, bro. This is a good topic. Y'all are coming in with the good comments. That was a joke, by the way, but there's some truth there because we all make adjustments for the other person. Good point, Don. Like, yes, I know you're being a little facetious and it's cool. We do all need to look at ourselves. Men need to look at themselves when it comes to certain things, and women do as well. Yeah. Yep. Will we even benefit from those skills? You went to school for you and not a family. When you make your business money, you still want that man to carry the weight. Your degrees are for you. I think for the most part, that's kind of what I was talking about. It's not that, they don't benefit everybody, but in your pursuit of it, I don't think most of the time, women are going and saying, yeah, this degree is really going to help me be a wife. No, they're thinking about a career. They're thinking about what could make them money, what could get them stability. Or some people have the blessing of being able to go to school for what they enjoy, and that's awesome. And that is awesome. But I think this goes back to the point of, when men are talking about what they look for in a woman, they are thinking about a wife. They're thinking about how that woman is going to show up in their life for them. So that's why they would describe things a little bit differently about what they value. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I kind of figured that, Brie. I know you're pretty balanced. That's what I mean. I just want him to respect that I have desires outside of being a wife. Yeah. That's a must, right? To be the Renaissance woman that you are, it's a must that a man doesn't think that, wife is it. My husband doesn't think I'm just a wife, but he knows I prioritize being a wife. That's the difference. A man will respect anything you're doing as long as it doesn't come before him and doesn't take you away from being able to relax and do all the things that you need to do in order to be beautiful, youthful, fun, right? Anything that gets in the way of that is a problem to a man, right? Who is coming along and he wants to provide a soft life for you. He doesn't want anything that hardens you. anything that stresses you. And if that's a job, if that's a hobby, if that's continued education, I mean, he's not really going to be for that. Right. But if it is something that benefits you, if these skills show up, Bree's a masseuse, right? She massage therapist, right? So I'm sure he's going to appreciate that skill, right? All of the things that you can do, you can take those home and they benefit your home. So I'm pretty sure you're not going to have a problem finding somebody that respects that and sees it as an asset. Yeah, I want him. Uh, I want it to be appreciated. I want him to be proud of it. I understand this because when my husband says he's proud of me, I be like 5-year-old Deanna again. Like it does feel really good when your husband gives you that nod of approval. Like I get that completely. I just think it's important to know that you can receive that and you can have that, but it's not something you want to lead with. You don't want to lead with, your accomplishments like that. You can bring them up. They can be a part of who you are holistically, but you want to make sure that you're not positioning it in a way that would concern him about your ability to wife or woman. So that's it. And I'll leave that alone. I will leave that alone. So yeah, Will's agreeing with Dawn. We got to be balanced. Men do things to be able to provide and lead. Our money is defaulted to the total, no matter the career. What career will benefit the family? That's a good point too. Definitely a good point, which is why men are like, I don't care if she makes fries. Because they know their money is the main money, making everything flow. Yeah, my husband agrees. Facts. If I make money from my business, it would never be just for me. I don't have a selfish mindset. We sure don't, Dawn. We sure don't. And beautiful women that are working on themselves and really care about partnership, they're not showing up like that. So yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, good point. Think about your audience. Yeah. My husband is never competition. Make sure he knows that. You might know that, but it's important that he knows that. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions because y'all is having a whole conversation in the chat. Yep. There you go, Bree. Yep. Sometimes it's just language shifts to make sure that what you're communicating is actually your intent, right? Because certain things would convey a different message to a man. So sometimes it's just a simple shift in some of the words that we choose to make sure we get the right point across. Thank you, Shaka. I appreciate that. Hit the heart button, y'all. Make sure that you're liking the comments. All of the engagement and interaction is what helps. Yeah. Yep. So y'all keep saying older. How much older? For a woman, I would say 8 to 10 years is a sweet spot because it's not too much older that you all won't like the same things or like have completely different music taste in music and fashion, right? But I mean, me and my husband's age gap is much bigger than that, and I'm super happy, and so is he. So it depends, but I say for a woman, a good range is about 8 to 10 years. That's going to be good. You all will still have similar interests, but he will be further enough than you that he has experienced more life. He has more to teach. He is more patient because he's probably dealt with a lot of things that were on his nerves. So there's certain things he's probably accepted at that point. I think 8 to 10 years, but that's just me. Yeah. Oh yeah. 8 to 10 years. Get you an early 40s. Shocker, I know. That's exactly when I seen that, I'm like, oh, 31, I was childless, traveling the world. But I'm happy to be where I am. And I mean, I feel like I look better, I feel better, I'm healthier, all of that at 41 than I was at 31. So I'm good to go. For me, a younger woman must have, okay, so let me know in the chat if y'all want me to just do an entire like age gap thing, because clearly this is a whole conversation. I am like, okay, I have my own thoughts on this because of my situation, but it is a good conversation to have. If you guys are interested in that, that could be one of my next conversations. For me, a younger woman, yeah. Yep, I am mad at that. I definitely required a healthy relationship with mom. Yep, that was a requirement for me too. Yeah, men like when their women shine. Yeah, they do. They love it. They love it. But again, like I can't stress this enough, ladies. And I know to me it's intuitive, right? But I want to make sure that I mention it because men are proud of us. Men would be happy about our accomplishments. Men love to see us shine, but not at their expense. So you want to make sure you're always honoring him. You want to make sure that his needs are still always being met. You want to make sure that your womaning isn't slacking because of those things. And if you do that, that creates the environment for him to love everything you're doing, because then he sees you holistically. He sees everything that you're doing as a part of how you're able to show up. And that's when he can really support all of that stuff. Yeah. He might have a craving for fries sometimes. So she's making them. That's a match. I can't. Yeah, because right now I'm working a lot. And truth is, I'm tired. Yeah, so don't lead with your work. You try to be rescued. Let me stop. Yeah, bring them fries home. Language shifts. Yeah, and I've done a couple of videos about language shifts, but I might start to compile like what women are saying and what men are hearing. Like y'all need to understand that too. That's something. 8 to 10 is great. Yep, I think that's a good little match. I'm not trying to be saved. I just want to be aligned. I'll lead with the fact that I'm a great cook. That's cool. Shit, I was trying to be saved. Save me. Do for me. Pay for me. Cater to me. And I did not have no qualms about it. My husband came in like, got you. You got all this for me to do. Yes. I've done 18 difference though. That's what me and Will are. 18. And most people are like, what? It doesn't look like it. He stays in the gym. We're trying to live a healthier lifestyle. So we got as many years as possible together, but we got 18 too. So they can work at any level. I just work so much that I don't have a whole lot of time to cook. Bills got to get paid. Yep. 1 in a million. Chance of a lifetime. I mean, I need to brag more on that. Like, is your relationship coach in a 1 in a million relationship? 1 in 300 million. How about that? Is she? Because I can say that. Thank you. And someone who actually did know me at 21, 31, and 41. I look much better at 41. I am fitter. I have more energy. I have more confidence. Just the way I show up, my style, everything. It's up level. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely better. Yeah, we get better with age as long as we learn our lessons. If we learn our lessons and mature, we get better. We know how to present ourselves better. We know what matters, what doesn't. So yes, it's true. Yup, age gap, please. I'm telling you. And age gaps work no matter what age you are. So I know a lot of women who are like in their 40s, 50s, and they're like, oh, all the men want younger men. Well, you're younger to someone else. You are younger to the man that is 10 years older than you. So that's how that works. That's the age gap can work at any age. Okay. When my woman won an award in her field, I was evangelizing like it was me. I was recording like a soccer mom. Yeah, y'all love that. Y'all love when we're accomplished and we're getting awards and accolades. Y'all love that. But you don't love it when it is in competition, when you feel like you have to compete for our time, our energy, when we are not taking care of home, when we are not keeping our looks up. You don't want to compete. 39 to 42. I think that's good. I can handle that. I like Shaka Khan. See? And you are like well-rounded in music. That was one of the things that works for me and Will. Like we're both like music buffs. So it's not like, oh, he's this generation and I'm this. Like we put each other onto music. I'm like, oh, I love this song. He's like, oh, do you know the original? Puts me onto the original. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, oh, they did a remake. Like listen, our favorite group was the Whispers. He never thought I was going to say that, but it's my favorite group and it's his favorite group. So what do you know? Like, so it can work. Yes, save me. Will came in with the cape. Yep. Did not mind. Yeah. I can't wait till he visits me. Yeah. Yep. And he can't wait to do it, right? So think of the energy of your dad. Like, I know that people kind of like take this and they think it's like sick or whatever, but I don't mean it in this way. I mean it in like the energy of daughter, daddy. How you love how your dad caters to you, right? How he takes care of you, how you can give him that list. You're going to want that in your husband. You're going to want that in your husband. Like, one of the things I love about my husband is there are so many things that remind me of my dad, his protective nature, you know, how like his little pet names for me and how he's just so delicate with me and how he caters to me, cuts my food up. Like these are all things that my dad did. So it's not like I was looking for a replacement dad because I have a very healthy relationship with my dad. But it's like all of those foundational love building things come from your father. So you're going to want that type of vibe in your husband. Yo, by 20. Yes, I know. We're older than Brie. She's wise. Yeah, he's pretty youthful. Exactly. Yep, the light that shines bright. Yes, baby. I can't go too much older at my age. Yes, you can. You absolutely can, because there's men that take care of themselves that you wouldn't know their age. So don't limit yourself. Just focus on, you don't have to focus on the age, because I didn't focus on the age and neither did my husband. It wasn't a part of our requirements. It wasn't something that we were looking to do. We were looking for a person that embodied what we believed as a partner. We were looking for someone that had the characteristics, right? That believed the same principles and had the same morals and things like that. That is what we focused on. And it happened to come in a person who was an 18-year age gap. That's how it worked. So I'm not saying that you have to go out there and focus on that, but be open to it, right? Yep. Lifestyle people you keep around you. Yep. Absolutely. Youth filled. So instead of I don't do impromptu dates, say that would have been fun, but I already have things planned. You already know, Brie. You already know. So you're not being rude. You're not rejecting. You're like showing appreciation, but you're still, letting him know. Can't be last minute at me. That's, yes, one of my favorite songs. Yes. All right, y'all. If I don't see any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and cover the coaching gem. So everything isn't a red flag or a cause to run. Some things need further discussion or exploration. However, as my husband would say, the biggest red flag is ignoring red flags. So we don't want you ignoring them, but we want you to be open to exploring them. All right. See how my rap skills just come? They just come back. Okay. So thank you all so much for being here with me. Please remember, every Monday we do a live coaching gem where I teach a lesson in the beginning. We have Q&A, which is open discussion at the end. Remember to like the live, make sure that you're commenting. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, leave your comments. I will still respond. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you are sharing. Okay, we're here every Monday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So tell your friends, set up something in your calendar so you can be here every week with us. Okay. That's all I have to cover for tonight. I'm gonna take one more look at the comments before I log off. Yeah, we love music too, Dawn. That's why you'll see, like in our membership, we always have the music posts because we love music. Yeah, it's okay to want to be saved. I mean, I wasn't saying to him, save me. I'm being funny with that. I didn't say it, but I was open to it. I was definitely open to it. Yeah. Yep. Oh, you got to earn it though. Yep. I ain't mad at it. Yep. All right. I love you guys so much. Please remember that God is love. We are of God. So attracting love should be easy, especially when you have me as your guide. All right. I'll see you all next week.